Hello and welcome to Analyst Hangout. I am Perpetua Fasumipita. Joining me on the show today are four seasoned analysts and industry players. First, here with me I have Ambrose Omodio, the Chief Research Officer of Invest Data Consulting. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me again.
All right, as always. And we also have here with us Jari Ogbetunde Shegun. He's an independent stock market analyst with Tradelines.biz Investment Limited. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, joining virtually, we have Alhaji Kurufi Garuba, the MD APT Securities and Funds Limited. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Garuba.
I'm happy to be with you.
As always. And we also have Aruna Kabira Jimo, the Managing Director and the CEO of Global View. That's the Managing Director and CEO of Global View Capital Limited. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, too, for joining us. Well, we begin with review of activities in the Nigerian Stock Exchange before delving into the impact of CBN rate hike and interesting company news. And so we're looking at the fact that the nation's equity market on Tuesday gave up the previous session's gains after forming a total reversal pattern on a daily time frame to reveal a strong resistance level in the midst of increased volatility and the earnings reporting season. With the days of surprises and disappointing earnings drawing closer, it remains to be seen how investors and traders will position themselves. Meanwhile, analysts have averred that the new market environment of rising inflation, interest rates, and the coming general elections call for new trading and investing strategies. And so we'll start with you, Ambrose, as always. We would like you to first give us a general overview of what the market looks like.
Yeah, I would say the market is just side trending, not yet in a decline stage. But market on Friday had a good rally that pulled the market above 52,000 mark, still on that above that 52 till now. Until it break down 50,000 mark, now we say yes, market have really confirmed a cool and a big decline stage. But now investors are trading with caution, and also in the midst of earnings season, and recent hike in a rate has also changed the pattern of trading, because funds are now leaving most of the equity to where there is a low risk and no high return. Because of what, once you hike rate, the fixed income market become more attractive, because then you have less risk and you have high return. But because of inflation, it's always on the rise now, or as we speak now, above 18.6 as at the last report. It tells you that no matter what you are, in the kind of yield you're having that is below that figure, you are seeing a negative return. And that is why some equities that can give you some dividend, yield around 14, in addition to capital appreciation, you are making up above 20, even to 30. I think that is why you see the what called sectorization now, as market is going ahead of the earnings season. To see what the result will be, that will give us whether market will break out from here up or break down from next week. Because we believe by next week we'll see more earnings hitting the market. I don't see few trickling down, but from next week, due to the deadline of 31st, for those that don't pay dividend, are going to see more results. That will also change the face of the market.
Okay, now let's have your thoughts, Mr. Garba.
Well, I totally agree with Mr. Ambrose that the market is just waiting for the half-year result, because I expect by now we should have received between 20 to 40 company half-year result, but they are not coming. We can excuse those that are likely going to declare the interim dividend. But for the manufacturing side, communication are yet to receive their half-year result, and I think that is what the market is waiting before it rebounds back. In any way, we have the hope that by next week, more result will come and the market is likely going to close positively.
Okay. Well, we know that some results are already out. We would like you to tell us if there has been any impact so far.
Yeah, well, let me start from the general market direction. If you look at the market now, the general market trend is still an uptrend. So for me, although we've been seeing little adjustment down the market, as far as I'm concerned, considering the negative fundamentals, news and everything around, we should have seen the market drop so much more. But what we are seeing now is only a meager part of the gains we have seen so far. So as far as I'm concerned, market is still very positive and attractive. That is, if you are looking at the market with the general all share index. Then again, if you go to some listed equities and you begin to observe them, you will realize that yes, some of them have dropped very well. But a good investors should know that when prices are down, it's time to stock your portfolio. So it means that it's just telling you to buy now. If you have money now, this is time to position, because by the time the results start coming in, you will see a very good reaction that will move the market. So if you are losing out from this opportunity, as far as I'm concerned, the drop we have seen so far, to me, is an opportunity to position. You can see a stock like Nigerian Breweries that was doing 77 naira, now at 49 naira plus. So what are you doing? Is it not the time to buy such stocks so that when the move will start, you start making your profit? You see, so as far as I'm concerned, it's time to position. Then again, when we look at the results that have come into the market now, you begin to wonder what's the reaction. It's neither here nor there. But look at those results. Are they okay? Are they reliable? The answer to me is yes. It depends on the way you are actually looking at them. Because most of us, when results are out, we just want to see the EPS. We are not looking at every other thing. But when you look at their books and you see what they have performed, what they are doing, sometimes you don't need to start criticizing a company because the current EPS is below the previous one. You look at what they are doing and see what the future holds for investors.
But for an investor, you want your dividend, so why shouldn't I look at the EPS?
But if you see, there are different types of stocks. There are growth stocks. There are stocks that when you position in them, you are just looking at, you have the mind that in the future they are going to reward you very well. For example, if I have a stock like Access Bank for the past 3-4 years, I don't need to bother myself because I have entered not because of the dividend they want to give me, but because I know that this stock is going to do very well in the future. So it depends on the kind of investor you are. If you are a trader, you can start complaining now. But if you are an investor that is waiting for a long time, this is a happy moment for you. It's time to go and gather more funds and enter the market.
That's a beautiful. I think this is a punchline. It's a happy moment for investors. You heard that. I guess you did. All right. So, Mr. Aruna, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I'd like you to comment on the fact that Nigeria is getting set for election in 2023. Tell us, has there been any impact so far?
You see, there has always been this preparation for a pre-election year, and there is always this fear that there will to be movement of funds out of the market, maybe preparation for the election. But when we saw the superlative performances of all the listed stock, most of the listed stock of the NGX for their quarter 1, it shows that the market was not prepared to follow that way.
Trend.
But you never can tell. There will always be an external stimulus that came in the news of the rift between Ukraine and Russia, the hike in prices of wheat, and the energy that snowballed into the rising inflation. I think that is only what has actually impeded the growth of the market. But if you actually look at it, the fall, has it been that fantastic? Like I just joined Jariobe just now. I've not actually seen that falling in prices. And what we have just seen is partly, yes, there was an increase in the NPA rate to 30%, which actually affected the market negatively. But since the increase from 30 to 14, has there been that much damage to the market? I'm not saying so. And after I also believe that if those superlative performances in quarter 1 is repeated in quarter 2, we might see a different market for 2022.
All right, thank you so much. Now we move on to the CBN. Well, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria unanimously voted to increase the benchmark interest rate. That's the MPR that Mr. Aruna was alluding to 14% from 13%, being the second hawkish move by the Apex Bank in 2022 following the rising rate of inflation. With inflation rate spiking above 18%, the CBN raised the rate in a bid to combat the rising cost of goods and services. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's inflation rate hit an over 5-year high of 18.6%, and that was in June 2022, from 17.71% recorded in the previous month, largely due to the surge in energy prices and transportation costs. I'd like to start with you, Mr. Garuba. Did you see this coming, the hike in the MPR rate? If you can hear me, Mr. Garba.
Yes, I hear you.
Okay.
What I'm saying, knowing that extent of the CBN governor, we did not see it coming. Because it's somebody that hold a system for 9 months, a time for 30 months. But surprisingly, within 2 consecutive sittings, he changed by 250 basis points. Not any analyst, if we can tell you that, knowing the CBN governor that will have done that. Maybe something have changed, but we hope that change will continue because you must address the reality. The inflation rate that have changed from January to date is more than 400 basis points. So increasing MPR by 250 basis points, I think he is moving in the right direction.
Okay, well, you say he's moving in the right direction, but we've had several conversations with some analysts, and they are saying that the monetary policy or the monetary policy isn't enough to address what is happening. They are saying we should look at the fundamentals, and maybe we should even come up with some fiscal policies. And they are asking, why is the Ministry of Trade and Investment? Why is the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning? Where are they in all of this? Why is the CBN, taking charge and trying to make things work?
Yes, it's true that economic policy needs to be moved by fiscal and monetary policy. But if the other side remain adamant, you cannot justify. So CBN does what they does because that's the only option left for them. Otherwise, we will just find the economy collapse in our hands, and they will not like that. So I respect them for taking this action, but it's left for the government to take the fiscal policies.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Garba. Let's have your thoughts, Ambrose.
Just like I've just said, the fiscal and the money should shake hands together to put the economy in the right direction. But he just said, for me, the 250 basis point increase in 2 sittings is very, very fast for a country like Nigeria. What is happening in my country is not the same as what you have different climate and different environment. That means you have to take your policy based on what you are seeing in your environment. You guys have done 250. Basically in 4 sittings, we're doing our own in just 2 sittings. It tells you that yes, we're moving faster than the country where the interest rate and the economy is almost moving to recession. But here, we're seeing that our GDP is still positive. But one thing that you should also know that any economy has a time for expansion and contraction. That means you, as an investor or even economic manager, should know exactly which policy will sit the right circle where we are at a particular time. Now that we are increasing interest rates, fine, to fight inflation. We are now increasing also cost of what? Of finance. We are increasing also cost of what? We know already that the cost of production is already high because of what? The kind of distortion in supply starting from what happened in Ukraine till now. And then here, insecurity has also affected the farming system here. For that, price of goods and services are up. If you continue to take interest rates up to fight inflation, for me, it's not enough. That's why, for now, it's time for CBN and his team, also the fiscal, to think outside the box and see that it's not only interest rates you can use to manage inflation, because this will also cause kind of damage to the economy. Because if the economy is not expanding, we are also working towards a recession. We have it almost like 2 times now. Before now, if we go back again to it, for me, it will not be a good one for Nigeria.
Absolutely. Now, Ambrose was talking about the fact that, well, this is not enough to address the situation. So what kind of policies are you looking at? What should they be doing now? If we have a handshake between the monetary policy and then the fiscal policy makers, what should we be saying? What do you think can help address the situation?
If, like Alaji rightly said, if a father and a mother give birth to a child and one of them is not forthcoming in his responsibility, the other person won't keep quiet. You have to do something about the child.
So how do we make that other child responsible?
That is another thing entirely. But what I am trying to say is that as every policy has its purpose, it can never turn the right side to everybody.
True.
For sometimes the interest rate has been left static. And of course, the stock market has enjoyed that, even while the interest rate, the inflation was moving up. But now the policy is not so much in support of the stock market. But again, if you want to look at it, perhaps there are certain things you are not looking at. Despite this rate hike, we have not seen a corresponding adjustment in the price of equities, listed equities. So what we are seeing is just a reaction of a market that is waiting for an information. You understand? It's not as if the rate adjustment has seriously affected the market, because if it has seriously affected...
But, on the day the announcement was made, that was when, the market changed.
Market lost 0.02%.
Yeah, 0.02%.
Almost a flat situation. It's not a bad one. If a market is losing 0.02, after that, I think it lost 0.2. We should be saying like 1.4, 1.5, if people are actually running after the market. But what we are seeing is not in a sharp negative reaction.
Okay.
It's just a situation of market waiting for information, people trying to properly analyze the policy and see where they stand. So to me, the policy is in right direction as we speak.
All right. Mr. Jimo, let's have your thoughts.
Yeah, but what I saw there is that the CBN for a very long time sat on the fence. Why? Because the problem was actually no monetary problem. It was supposed to be from the supply side, and what they could do then was intervention. But when intervention was actually not solving the problem as it were, then they just have to do what they have to do. Like I followed suit what they just said, that if one parent is not coming, what happened is the other parent will have to come in. So why they actually sat on the fence then? Because they wanted a recovery from the effect of the COVID-19. And they then discovered that it actually was not in the interest of what was happening. The inflation was galloping, and we discovered that there was depreciation in the naira. And they felt it essentially to come and to help to lessen inflationary pressure and protect maybe slow rate of recovery of the Nigerian depreciation. They have to come in. I think, as far as I'm concerned, that was the solution that was at their hand after holding that rate constant for a very long time.
All right, let me come in here. What impact has that had on the stock market?
If I actually just like Jeremy has said, we're thinking that by now the index will have plunged by maybe like 20% or maybe like 10%, but we discovered that every day losses are no more than a fraction, is 0.02%, 0.1%, which short, and the way we are now, the market is waiting for external stimulus, which might come in the form of Q2 result. By the time we see Q2 result, that effect.
All right, I think that's a good place to leave it. Let's move on now. The oil and gas index, which emerged as the best performing index, has gained 64.42% year to date. The oil and gas index, which measures the performance of the oil and gas firms quoted on the NGX, grew by 64.42%, or what you call 222.25 basis points, to close at 567.26 index points on the 19th of July 2022, as against the opening index of 345.01 index points at the beginning of the year 2022 trading on January 4, 2022. Now, according to the report, the top 5 performing oil and gas stocks during the year to date are Seplat Energy PLC with 120.07%, Etana PLC with 38.22%, MRS Oil Nigeria PLC with 32%, Oando PLC 23%, and Connoil PLC with 17.95%. Now, these stocks were selected based on their price performance from year to date. I'd like to start with you, Mr. Garba. Are these stocks, are these the stocks with strong fundamentals, like Ambrose will always say? He's always telling us to go for stocks with strong fundamentals. Is this the strong fundamentals he's always talking about? Mr. Garba, if you can hear me. All right, let's have you, since you are the one who likes talking about fundamentals and technicals.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, please go ahead.
What I'm saying that, yes, there is the issue of fundamental, but the truth of the matter, the major gainer is Seplat. Seplat gained not because of the fundamentals, but partially because of dual listing. Today, you find it very difficult to get your foreign exchange and to trade it outside. So the best way is to acquire Seplat, to go and trade it in London Exchange, get your sterling pound and move on. And that's what pushed that stock. And not only Seplat, Airtel also benefited. So the rising is not because of the fundamental, but the rising is due to the opportunity given by the dual listing. And I think is issue that the other company should look into.
All right, thank you. You would like to respond to that?
Yeah, actually, Malaysia just encourage the Nigerian the listed companies to do the way of dual listing. Yes, even though you are not doing dual listing, that happens to dual earnings, it's also a way of kind of improving your performance. As I just said, fundamental cannot play totally out of this. As a way of also supporting the price rally. Yes, when you see fundamental, it's a way the market reacts, and that will have a technical analysis. You see kind of behavior, sentiment from people, seeing that number that also guide you. But what you just said, Steplat is what that made that index to stand out for year to date. For me, it's a good one. But don't forget that there's also a positive, kind of fundamental news for the sector, starting from oil price above $100 per barrel. As we speak now, despite the oscillation in oil price, it still remains above $100. That also is a plus for Steplat because they are doing an offshore business, and as they are selling, no matter what it is, because it's above the cost and everything is rising. For me, it's a good one. That's also impacting their numbers. As markets also are expecting their Q2 to hit the market more from now. People already positioning a move from almost 1,300 to almost 1,400 because of expectation. They've not seen the price, the earnings, but people are saying that it's a way of taking ahead.
You invest in the news or in the rumor rather.
And also, I heard you say people also taking that as an ability to buy here and go and sell in London. But also, if you look at the price, you are buying here and selling in London. I'm telling you, it's for those that are going to buy in London, come and sell Nigeria will make money, because if you look at the price in London, and it's not because of people want to go because of they need foreign estate. It's not because they are making money going to sell it in London. It's just because it's a way of people moving their money away, because since they don't have access to FX because of our having exchange market problem. For that is why you can see the life of Ether and life of Steplat in that category. But one thing that if you look at the general market is up today, not because of just say yes, all the stocks have returned good gain for investor capital appreciation, but there are selected stocks, about 7 of them, that have year to date they've rallied, and these are high cap stocks that also kept the market up. I mean, I tell you that as far as these sectors that investors are looking, the market is not likely to adjust down very any time from now, because Ether is one of the pusher in telecoms sector, and when there is a form of great hike, you look at which sector or industry can I make more than what in the interest rate is doing or what inflation is doing. For me, they see that telecom sector is a good one. That's why people also take advantage of the low price of MTN to position. That's tells you that this price of this kind of stock will continue to rally, because Steplat will look up, Ether will look up. You see the life of MTN looking up, life of Dangote Cement and Boa Cement and Nestle. That is that the market not likely to adjust down, because as far we're seeing positive number from this kind of stock, to keep the market up. But the good thing is that there's a sector on the that always lead the blue, and when the blue is on, it drag others up.
All right, thank you so much. Very quickly, just before we leave this conversation, I'm looking at MRS. MRS slipped into a loss position during the first quarter of 2022, but then it still gained 32% in price during the current year, from 12 naira 35 kobo to 14 naira 45 kobo. Now, what do we need to know about this? I'd like, I think you've spoken, so I'd like Aruna to talk to us about this.
All right. Yeah, I think what worked for them was the increase in the price of a barrel of oil. Because if you look at the MRS did not declare dividend, but only gave a bonus of 148. And the qualification was supposed to be January 1, 2022. And it was too far from April to July. I think it was one is the happenings around the sector which it belongs.
All right, thank you so much. I think this is a good place to end this particular segment. We have another segment where we will be reviewing our results from select companies. And so we take a break now, and when we return for part 2, we turn our attention to the earnings from select companies. Stay with us.